So, you just picked up a new Wi-Fi camera. It's sleek, it's smart, and it promises peace of mind. And for storage, the go-to solution for most people is this tiny little thing, a microSD card. It's simple, it's cheap, and it slots right into the camera. No monthly fees, no complicated setup. You just put it in, formatted, and you're good to go, right? For a lot of everyday situations, that's actually true. They've become a surprisingly convenient way to handle local storage for everything from doorbell cams to pet monitors. But here's the thing. Relying only on a microSD card for something as important as security footage comes with some serious trade-offs and potential blind spots that most people don't think about until it's too late. These cards weren't originally designed for the constant, demanding workload of a security camera, and that can lead to some major issues down the line. It's not just about capacity, it's about reliability, durability, and what happens when things go wrong. So the real question is, when is that little card enough? And when is it a single point of failure just waiting to happen? It's a bit more nuanced than you might think. We need to look at the specific use case, the type of card, and your personal tolerance for risk. Let's break down when you can trust microSD, and when you really shouldn't. Alright, so let's start with the positives. There are definitely scenarios where using a microSD card as your primary storage is a perfectly reasonable, even smart choice. The most common one is for casual home use. I'm talking about non-critical monitoring, like keeping an eye on your pets while you're at work, checking in on the kids when they get home from school, or just having a general view of your living room. In these low-stakes situations, you're not necessarily worried about capturing evidence for a major crime. You just want the convenience of looking back at recent events. The simplicity and cost-effectiveness of a microSD card here is pretty hard to beat. Another great fit is for cameras set to event-based recording. Instead of recording 24/7, the camera only saves a clip when it detects motion or sound. This dramatically reduces the amount of writing the card has to do, which is the main cause of wear and tear. If your camera is only recording a few short clips per day, the card isn't under constant stress. This means it will last significantly longer and be far more reliable over its lifespan. It's a much lighter workload, and most decent cards can handle this kind of intermittent use for years without breaking a sweat. The key though is using the right tool for the job. If you're going this route, you absolutely need to be using a high-endurance microSD card. These are specifically designed for write-intensive applications like security cameras and dash cams. They're built with higher quality NAND flash memory that can withstand thousands of hours of recording and rewriting. They cost a bit more than a standard card, but the extra durability is non-negotiable for this use case. Combine an endurance card with regular backups, maybe pulling important clips off to your computer once a month, and you've got a pretty solid, trustworthy setup for everyday monitoring. Now let's flip the script. There are some situations where relying solely on a microSD card is a genuinely bad idea, bordering on irresponsible depending on what you're trying to protect. The most obvious one is for any kind of critical surveillance. If you're monitoring a business, a storefront, a stockroom with valuable inventory, or even the exterior of your home for serious security threats, a single point of failure located directly on the camera is a huge risk. The footage from these cameras isn't just for casual viewing, it could be essential evidence. You simply can't afford for it to be missing when you need it most. This leads directly to the next red flag: 24/7 continuous recording. This is the ultimate stress test for any storage medium, and it's especially brutal on microSD cards. Writing data constantly, day in and day out, generates heat and causes rapid wear on the memory cells. Even high-endurance cards have a finite lifespan, measured in thousands of hours of recording. If you're running a camera 24/7, you could burn through a card's rated lifespan in a year or two, sometimes even less. It won't give you a polite 2 weeks notice, it'll just fail, and you'll be left with a gap in your recordings that you probably won't discover until you actually need the footage. Finally, we have to consider the environment and the set, and forget mentality. Many outdoor cameras are exposed to extreme temperatures, baking sun in the summer, freezing cold in the winter, as well as humidity and vibrations. These conditions can degrade the card and the electronic contacts over time, leading to corruption and failure. Compounding this is the human element. It's easy to install a camera, pop in a card, and then completely forget about it for months or even years. Without regular checks to ensure the card is still functioning and recording properly, you're flying blind. It's this combination of harsh conditions and a lack of maintenance that makes set and forget, with only a microSD card, such a risky gamble. So, what actually happens when you rely only on a microSD card and things go south? There are 4 main risks you're exposed to. The first and most inevitable is simply wear out. As I mentioned, flash memory has a limited number of write cycles. Every time your camera saves footage, it wears down the memory cells just a little bit. Over time, these cells degrade until they can no longer reliably store data. The card might become read-only, or worse, it might start corrupting files silently before it fails completely. For a camera recording constantly, this isn't a matter of if, but when. The second risk is sudden, catastrophic failure. This is different from gradual wear out. A card can be working perfectly 1 minute and be completely dead the next. This can be caused by a power surge during a storm, a manufacturing defect that finally gives way, or extreme temperature shock. There's often no warning at all. You go to pull the footage from an incident and discover the card is unreadable, not recognized by any device. All the footage on it, including the event you needed to see, is just gone. It's the digital equivalent of a blank tape. Then there's the issue of footage overwrite. Most security cameras are set to loop record, meaning when the card fills up, the camera starts deleting the oldest footage to make room for the new. This is a feature, not a bug, but it has a major downside. If an incident happens, say a package is stolen from your porch, and you don't realize it for a few days, the evidence might already be gone. Depending on the size of your card and the quality of your video, you might only have 3 or 4 days of rolling storage. If you don't save that crucial clip in time, the system will automatically erase it to keep recording. And the final and perhaps most obvious risk is physical theft or vandalism. This is the Achilles heel of on-device storage. If a burglar breaks into your house, what's one of the first things they might do if they spot a camera? They'll steal it or smash it. And when they do that, they take the microSD card and all the evidence of their crime with them. Having your security footage stored on the very device that's meant to be recording the threat is a fundamental security flaw. The evidence is just as vulnerable as the camera itself. Okay, so it's clear that relying on a microSD card alone has its pitfalls, but that doesn't mean you have to throw them out. The key is to build a smarter, more resilient system around them. The first step, and I can't stress this enough, is to exclusively use high-endurance cards. Don't cheap out. Look for cards specifically marketed for video monitoring or dash cams from reputable brands. Check their endurance rating, which is usually measured in terabytes written or thousands of hours of recording. This is the single most important hardware choice you can make to improve reliability at the local level. The real game changer, however, is implementing hybrid storage. This is the best of both worlds. You use the microSD card for local recording, so you always have a backup on the device, but you also have the camera upload footage to a secondary location. This could be a cloud service, which is the most common solution. Many camera brands offer their own cloud plans that will automatically save event clips off-site. The moment motion is detected, a copy is sent to the cloud, so even if the camera is stolen or destroyed seconds later, the evidence is already safe. If you're not a fan of monthly subscription fees, the other hybrid option is to use a network video recorder, or NVR. Think of it as a dedicated hard drive on your local network that all of your cameras can record to. You still get the benefit of the microSD card as a fallback in case your network goes down, but the NVR becomes the primary long-term storage vault. This gives you massive amounts of storage space for 24/7 recording from multiple cameras. And whether you use the cloud or an NVR, actively monitoring your card's health is crucial. Some camera apps will alert you if the card is failing. If not, make it a habit to check your recordings every few weeks to ensure they're not corrupted. And when you capture something important, export that clip immediately. Don't let it sit on the card waiting to be overwritten. So after breaking it all down, what's the final verdict? Is your microSD card enough for your camera storage? The honest answer is, it depends, but for anything serious, probably not on its own. A microSD card is an incredibly convenient and simple tool. For casual, low-stakes monitoring inside your home, like watching a pet or using event-based recording, a high-quality endurance card can be a perfectly adequate solution. It's a great starting point and certainly better than having no recording at all. The technology has gotten good enough for that. However, the moment you elevate the stakes, the moment you're relying on that camera for true security, for protecting valuable assets, or for capturing evidence that needs to be 100% available, the microSD card becomes a weak link. The risks of wear out from 24/7 recording, sudden failure, accidental overwriting, and especially physical theft or destruction of the camera are just too significant. Relying on it as your only copy of important footage is a gamble. You're betting that it won't fail and that a potential intruder won't be smart enough to just take the camera with them. Ultimately, a microSD card should be thought of as a backup, not the primary archive. It's fantastic for redundancy. If your internet goes out, the card is still recording. But the most trustworthy and robust setup will always involve a second layer of storage. The combination of a local high-endurance microSD card for fallback, paired with either a cloud subscription for off-site event storage, or a local NVR for comprehensive long-term recording creates a system with no single point of failure. That's how you move from simple convenience to genuine peace of mind. So there you have it. MicroSD cards are an amazing piece of technology, and they definitely have their place in the world of Wi-Fi cameras. They offer a level of convenience and affordability that's hard to argue with, especially for casual everyday use. But it's crucial to understand their limitations and not to ask more of them than they were designed to deliver. For something as important as your security, convenience can't be the only factor. Reliability and redundancy are what really matter when things go wrong. The bottom line is that a multi-layered approach is always the safest bet. Think of your security footage like any other critical data. You wouldn't keep the only copy of your most important files on a single, tiny, removable drive, would you? The same logic applies here. Use the microSD card as your first line of defense, a local backup that's always running, but make sure you have a second, more secure location for your most important clips. For peace of mind, don't rely on microSD alone. Combine it with cloud or NVR storage for the best protection. That way, you get the on-device reliability for when your network is down, and the off-site or centralized security for everything else. It's the smart way to make sure your footage is actually there when you need it most. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.